Chapter 3, Authorities. The government has authority. The state has authority. The police, the law, soldiers, parents, teachers, religious leaders, etc. have authority. There are two types of authority: subconscious and conscious. Unconscious and subconscious authorities are useless. We imperatively need authorities with conscience. Unconscious authorities have filled the world with tears and pain. Unconscious authorities abuse authority at home and at school, precisely because they are unconscious. Today, unconscious parents and teachers are only blind leaders of the blind. And as the sacred scriptures say, they will all end up head first in the abyss. Unconscious parents and teachers force us to do absurd things which they consider logical during infancy. They say it is for our own good. Parents are unconscious authorities, as it is demonstrated by their treatment of children as trash, as if parents were the superior species of mankind. Teachers end up hating certain students and pampering or spoiling others. They sometimes severely punish any hated student, even if he and she is studious, and reward with magnificent grades students who are spoiled and do not really deserve it. Parents and teachers dictate aired norms to children and young people. Authorities who do not possess conscience can only do absurd things. We need authorities who have conscience. By this we mean that they should have integral knowledge of themselves, total knowledge of all their inner values. Only he who truly possesses complete knowledge of him is awake in an integral form and has conscience. Everyone believes they know themselves, but it is very difficult to find someone in life who truly knows himself. People have totally mistaken concepts about themselves. To know oneself requires great and awesome personal efforts. Only through the knowledge of oneself do we truly achieve conscience. The abuse of authority is due to unconsciousness. No authority with conscience would ever abuse authority. Some philosophers are against all authority. They detest authorities. Such a way of thinking is false because within everything created, from a microbe to a sun, there are levels and levels, degrees and degrees, superior forces that control and direct, and inferior forces which are controlled and directed. In a simple beehive, the authority lies with the queen. In any ant's nest, there exist authority and laws. The destruction of the authority principle would lead to anarchy. The authorities of these critical times in which we live are unconscionable, and it is obvious that due to this psychological fact, they enslave, shackle, abuse, and cause pain. We need masters, instructors, or spiritual guides, government authorities, parents, etc., who have full conscience. Only in this manner can we truly create a better world. It is stupid to say that spiritual masters and spiritual guides are not needed. It is absurd to be unaware of the authority principle in all creation. Those who are self-sufficient and proud have the opinion that masters and spiritual guides are not necessary. We should recognize our own nothingness and misery. We should understand that we need authorities, masters, spiritual instructors, etc., but with conscience so that they can guide and help us wisely. The unconscious authority of teachers destroys the creative power of students. If a student paints, the unconscious teacher tells him what he should paint, which tree or scenery he should copy. Fearful students do not dare spit outside the mechanical rules of teachers. That is not creating. It is necessary for a student to become creative, to be capable of stepping out of the unconscious norms of unconscious teachers, so that he or she is able to transmit all that he feels. in relation to all the enchantment and deep meaning of life which circulates on a tree's trembling leaves. Teachers with conscience would not oppose free creativity of the heart. Teachers with conscious authority would never mutilate the minds of students. Unconscious teachers destroy the mind and intelligence of students. Teachers with unconscious authority only know how to punish and dictate stupid rules so that students may behave well. Teachers with conscience teach their students with extreme patience, helping them to understand their individual difficulties, so that by understanding they are able to transcend all their errors and advance successfully. Authority with conscience would never destroy intelligence. Unconscious authority destroys intelligence and causes serious damages to students. Intelligence only comes to us when we enjoy authentic freedom. Teachers with conscious authority truly know how to respect creative freedom. Unconscious teachers believe that they know it all and ruin students' freedom by castrating their intelligence with lifeless norms. Teachers with conscience know that they do not know and even give themselves the luxury of learning by observing the creative capacity of their students. It is necessary for school, college, and university students to go from the simple condition of disciplined machines to the brilliant position of intelligent free being, so that they are able to face all the problems of existence with success. This requires competent teachers with conscience who really become interested in their students, well-paid teachers so that they may never have monetary problems of any type. Unfortunately, every teacher, parent, and student believes to have conscience and to be awake, but that is their gravest error. In life, it is very rare to find an awakened person with conscience. People dream when their body sleeps and dream when their body is awake. People drive cars dreaming, they work dreaming, walk in the streets dreaming, live all the time dreaming. It is very natural for a professor to forget his umbrella, a book or wallet in his car. All that happens because the professor has his conscience asleep. He dreams. It is very difficult for people to accept that they are asleep. The entire world believes that it is awake. If someone was to accept that his conscience is asleep, it is obvious that he would begin to awaken from that very moment. A student leaves his book or notebook at home, which he has to carry to school. Forgetfulness of this type seems very normal, but it indicates the state of sleep in which the human conscience is. The passengers of any urban transport service often miss the street where they should have got off. They were asleep, and when they awake, they realize they have missed their street and have to walk back a few blocks. A human being is rarely really awake in life, and when he does awake for a brief moment, as in cases of infinite terror, he momentarily sees himself in an integral form. These moments are unforgettable. It is very difficult for a person who returns home after having traveled through an entire city to remember in detail all his thoughts, incidents, people, things, ideas, etc. On trying to remember, the person will find huge gaps in his memory, which correspond precisely to the most profound states of sleep. Some students of psychology have set out to live on alert from moment to moment, but suddenly fall asleep, perhaps on meeting a friend in the street, on entering a store to buy something, etc. And hours later, when they remember their decision to live on alert and awake from instant to instant, they realize they had fallen asleep when they entered such and such a place or met such and such a person. Conscience is something very difficult to achieve, but one can reach this state by learning to live on alert and vigilance from moment to moment. If we want to achieve conscience, we need to know ourselves in an integral form. Every one of us has the ego, the self, which we need to explore to know ourselves in order to achieve conscience. It is imperative to observe ourselves, analyze and understand each of our defects. It is necessary to study ourselves in the field of the mind, emotions, habits, instincts, and sex. The mind has many subconscious levels, regions, or departments that we should know through observation, analysis, in-depth meditation, and profound understanding. Any defect can disappear from the intellectual region and continue existing in other unconscious levels of the mind. The first thing needed is to awaken in order to understand our own misery, nothingness, and pain. Afterwards, the ego begins to die from moment to moment. The death of the psychological ego is imperative. Only by dying, a truly conscious being is born within us. Only our being can exercise true conscious authority. Awakening, death, and birth are the three psychological phases that lead us to true conscious existence. We must be awakening in order to die, and must die in order to be born. Whoever dies without having awakened becomes a stupid saint. Whoever is born without having died becomes an individual with a double personality, the very just and the very perverse. The exercise of true authority can only be exercised by those who possess conscious being. Those who do not yet possess conscious being and have got no conscience tend to abuse authority and cause great harm. Teachers should learn to rule, and students should learn to obey. Those psychologists who pronounce themselves against obedience are in fact very mistaken, because no one can rule consciously if he has not first learned to obey. It is necessary to know how to rule consciously and to obey consciously.